Hello, this is MD McCollum. I'm a longtime iClone user, and what we're going to do today is take a look at some of the animation tools in iClone for animating a character. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got the stock character Mason loaded, and with him selected, I'm going to go over to the Animate tab and the Motion Puppet. Now with Motion Puppet open, I can use any number of motions by using the mask feature here. So let me show you what we're talking about here. I want him to be walking along and explaining something. So the first thing we're going to do is lay down a basic walk. Now iClone has a wonderful preview feature. You can press the space bar and preview what you're doing before you record it. Now I'm going to go ahead and record this. There's only about 600 frames in this particular project, so we're going to go ahead and let it record out. And then when he's finished, we'll go back and we'll start with the second layer of animation. Now as soon as it's through, we want to make sure we go back to the beginning. Make sure our time scribber is all the way back to the beginning. I want him to have some motion like looking around. Now this gives us a preview of that motion. I don't want to use all of it. I don't want to lose the walking motion. So I'm going to take out the legs and the lower torso. Let's take a look. Now that looks good, except his arms are stiff. So let's go ahead and take the arms out. I'm going to leave the hands in just to see. There, now that's what I want. So now I'm going to go ahead and record that. This is our second layer of animation. Now I'm going to want him to act like he's explaining something as he's walking. So we're also going to add a layer for the arms and the hands. Now, before we do anything else, make sure you go back to the beginning. And let's go to talk. And let's try this first one. Yeah, that's the arm movement that I want. So in this case, since the arms are all I want, I'm just going to hit the eraser and clear, mask out the entire thing, and add the arms back. Let's go ahead and add the hands back with it. Just in case there's some movement there we may want. Yep, that's what we want. So I'm going to stop previewing. Now I'm going to record that. And so now we've laid down another layer of animation. Now we're through with that. We're through with the motion puppet. Be sure we go back to the beginning. And let's come in here to Facial, Create Script. I'm just going to use a WAV file. It'll load it and it'll set the lip sync automatically. Now you're not hearing it because I had the speakers turned off. So what we're doing is letting it lip sync. Now we've got that far. And that looks good, but I think it'd be better if he was looking at us. So let's go ahead with him selected, and let's have him at the very beginning, went back to the beginning of the timeline. Let's have him look at the camera. Okay. Now I'm going to turn on my speakers. It may get a little rough here. And let's see what we've got.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there
Okay. Now we've laid down that much. Turn my speakers back off. And let's say we want to go ahead and have him grimace a little. Well, let's go back to the very beginning. Go back to Animate with him selected, and let's go to Facial Puppet. We're using Mason. Let's see. Smiley, yeah, angry, that's what we want. And you can have a little preview here, and you can see what it does to his face. So let's go ahead and record. And you just move your mouse as he's walking. And what that's doing is making him grimace and moving these muscles that you have highlighted in this motion puppet. Okay, now we've got all that done. I'm going to turn the speakers back on. And let's see what we have.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are.
Okay, we've got that much. Now, let's go back and let's take a look, say, at his lip sync. We don't need the project. What we actually need up is just the character. So I'll click on this object-related track. That brings him up. And what I'm going to do next is go in and look for the Visimi. We're going to open that up. Now, this is where the actual Visimis are. Like right here, there's a TLD. We don't need that because there's nothing being said. A TH, a TH. What we actually need is a none, which is right there. And we need this to start with a TH. This W needs to move over here. And you just double click on either one of the phone menus, or you double click somewhere in this line, and that'll bring up this lips editor. And that is where you can go ahead and make your own changes to it. So this is how you'd come in and adjust.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there.
Now you can spend as much time on adjusting lip sync as you want to. This is just one of the methods of animating a character. Now another way to animate a character is their built-in motions, or their personas. So what you do is select the character, right click, go to perform. In this case there's a stand to sit, and I want her in a sitting position. I don't really want this part of the animation, but this is going to put her in a sitting position for me. Now that she's in the sitting position, I'm going to right click and I'm going to remove object animation and go back to the beginning. Now she's no longer going to sit down, but she's in a sitting position, which is what I need her to be. Now with her selected, I'm going to go ahead and open up the motion puppet again. And what we want her to do is be talking. So I'm going to go ahead and preview. There's what it would look like. So let's mask out the legs and the bottom part of the torso. And let's go ahead and record that. Now I'm just going to record to about probably 450 frames or so. Okay. Now we have that. Let's go back to the beginning. And let's go ahead and let's have her look at us. Look at camera. And then I'm going to press in. Sorry, I had her hair selected. I'm going to select her and press in. And what this is going to do is allow me, you can go into bone mode if you want to see what the bones look like. But with mirror checked, I'm just going to move her arms up and over a little. And probably a little forward. If you can hear the rain, that's because it's starting to rain here, and we don't get that a lot these last 10 years. So we're glad. I'm not going to complain. It's going to get a little loud. We can pretty much make these changes. And they're now all part of our motion. And that's all there is to that. Now let's take a look at using a two-handed weapon. And the easiest way to do that is using the reach target with a couple of dummies. So let's go over to props, 3D blocks, and let's grab a primitive that has the least amount of faces, like the box. And then let's scale it down to 10. You can make it smaller if you want to, but I want you to be able to see it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just raising it up. And once I get it up here, I'm going to hold down Control, move it over, and I'm going to duplicate it. Now I'm going to select my character, go to Animation, go to Reach Target. And what I'm going to do is have it reach for these boxes. Now this is just preliminary setup right here. We'll be coming back in a second and I'll show you why. But we're not going to have them reach for the staff because there's no particular place built into this staff or this dummy for him to reach for. So we're going to create our own dummies for him to reach. That's why we have these. So what we do to position it is we actually use the dummies to position it. So what I'm doing is I have selected the dummy, and let me select the shaft and move it back and kind of get a placement on where we're going to want it. Now you want to take more time than I'm doing here, but as you can see, I'm moving the hand into place by moving these dummies. Rolling the middle mouse wheel to move that up. And now we kind of have that placed. Again, like I said, you could do a better job than that. But what we're going to need to do now is attach each of these to the staff. And we don't want to use link, we want to use attach. So, pick parent, attach to the staff, grab the other dummy, pick parent, attach to the staff. Now when we grab the staff, we can move it. We're still not going to have perfect movement because we're going to have to go back and make a few changes. But we also need to change the pivot on this staff so it'll work properly. So with staff selected, I'm going to put the pivot in the center. And now as you can see, when we move the staff, his arms are moving with it. Arms and hands. This is one good thing about the way this IK system works. Now we can Control D to toggle on and off. If we set these dummies, or if we set these blocks as dummies. Set as dummy. Set as dummy. And now Control D will toggle those on and off. But in order for his hands to keep up with it, we're going to need to go in and make another change. Because if you notice, when we change this, his hands aren't staying up with it. They're not rotating with it. So what we're going to do to make that work is go back and select our character, go back to Animate, into Reach Target, and we're going to drill down into Reach Target, and we're going to hit Rotation. Now this is going to make, chances are, the way you have it set up, it's going to make the hand distort out of place. But we're going to fix that in a minute. Go to the other one and do the same thing. Rotation. Now we're through with that. Now the reason this is doing this, and I'll show you what it's doing, is our dummies, our boxes, aren't rotated properly. So we're just going to rotate those around. And that'll solve that little problem. Now again, you can take better time, didn't mean to do that, you can take better time at placing it than this. Take more time. But now what we've accomplished is the hands will actually follow with the staff. And you can see, this is not, I don't have him in the best pose, but you can see how you can use this moving down the timeline with keyframes to animate your own fight, or to handle a two-handed sword, a staff, and an axe, battle axe, anything like that. Dummies just make it a lot easier to hook up and work with.